My name is Camden Carnrite, and this is for my Chapter 3 Evil Minds review. Murder is always selfish in its act, often sadistic, but not always psychotically fueled. Leaders of the world's largest nations have killed millions of their own people, but do we fully understand or know why they commit the acts that they do, though? This chapter dives into the methods and the types of killers and of that history has tracked. Disorganized killers tend to be more involved with the body after that they murder, as in that they perform sexual acts, necrophilia, or they decapitate, or even eat their own body, known as cannibalism. Organized killers become sloppy as they progress and as more murders that they commit start to mount up because their frequency starts to rise. The higher the passion and intensity causes the killer to become less interested in covering up his tracks, leading to his arrest or ultimately his death. Mass murderers are considered mass murderers after they've committed 4+ murders in a short period of time. People who do so are in a continuous action commit a spree in more than one location. They usually take their own life or initiate suicide by cop, which is their actions and relentlessness of being apprehended leads to a death by gunfire of cops. They set high ambitions and end up blaming others for their shortcomings and their exclusions. They generally try to seek revenge for real or perceived injustice or harm. The 5 motivational typologies to these murderers are disciples that kill for pleasing and charismatic, ideological, religious, or political leaders. The second is a family annihilator, the ones who kill for revenge, jealousy, or suicide. The third is disgruntled employee, those who have anger against an employer or co-worker. The fourth is a pseudo-commando that has hatred for a particular group of people. And the fifth is a set and run, the people who have basically no goal in mind. They just want to destroy anything, fulfill their self-esteem. They do it for enjoyment, for fame, to basically be known. Spree killers are often 20 to 30 years old and come from a lower social class. They have a personal revenge, and they're generally trying to cover up previous crimes, and they often do it for sport. They often kill for money, sex, and the need to escape, and they have a hunger and desire to basically quench. And not to mention that most of these are 20 to 30-year-old white males. They are often disorganized and kill at different locations in time and likely to have a partner in crime, typically with a romantic partner. Serial killers differ from other killers in the frequency of their kills. Killers will often commit their crimes over an elongated period of time to avoid arrest. Most offenders will kill until apprehended, but some may never be brought to justice. There's typically no prior relation with the victim either. Motivating factors may include sex, but don't have to involve the actual act. Power, control, and manipulation and dominance are driving motives for their assaults. Brutality and violence and overkill are often characteristics to the serial killer. Victims tend to be vulnerable in their profile and the situations that lead to their crime, i.e. lone women, elderly, the children, hitchhikers, and prostitutes. Killers generally prefer strangulation, suffocation, or stabbing as methods to kill. Pornographic material may initially fuel certain fantasies, just as committing acts of arson and killing small animals for fun would heighten interest to kill another human. Serial killers will study and stalk their victims to build his MO, choosing secluded areas. Photos, videos may be kept or have often been kept by serial killers to relive their experiences and fuel future events. Some traits of serial killers from childhood often included daydreaming, compulsive masturbation, isolation, chronic lying, bedwetting, rebelliousness, nightmares, destroying property, setting fires, stealing, and killing animals for power and control. Some serial killers had histories of brain damage, learning disabilities, or substance abuse. Poor parenting and abuse often led. Poor parenting and abuse and difference in social classes often led these serial killers to act out later in life. Bad parenting often leads to bad people. Some typologies of serial killers include visionary, ones who kill often because and suffer from delusions and hallucinations. Their hallucinations and their voices in their head basically are telling them to kill. Mission oriented, seek to kill people of a specific group they see unworthy to live, and they tend to focus on the elderly, prostitutes, and it's not inclusive to just them. It could also be children and pretty much anybody. They're also called the angels of death. Hinduistic killers are pretty much all serial killers because they kill for the thrill, and they're also sexually fueled. More of them do it for the power and the dominance they're actually just kind of random. They do it. One example would be the DC killings, where two men went from Montgomery, Alabama, with snipers to Baton Rouge, and even stopped in Maryland, Virginia, and DC. Ended in DC using snipers to kill past civilians on highways. And hedonistic serial killers often do it for financial gains, such as hitmen or people doing it to collect financial losses from an insurance policy. Power-oriented often just kill to exert the dominance. Example would be John Wayne Gacy. He killed 33 young boys when he lured them to his car and would handcuff them and then strangle them with a board or a rope while he would rape them. Female crime is not more typical to society, but it does mean that it doesn't happen. It's increased since 1970. Early indications are animal abuse, animal killing, isolation, abandonment, attachment disorders, abuse from the mother, parents, and essentially the mother was never really there in their life. Their methods of killing generally tend to be by poison, but they also can include shooting, bludgeoning, suffocation, stabbing, or drowning. But their motives are mainly for money, but they also include control, enjoyment, sex, and usually the last involves sex, drugs, cult involvement, cover up feelings, or covering up feelings of inadequacy.